Welcome to the Get Out In It podcast, keeping our mental and physical well-being balanced by heading out into nature and doing stuff.
The activity isn't important. Walk, run, hike, bike, whatever it is, just find something you enjoy and get out in it. The point of this podcast is to show how ordinary people can achieve extraordinary levels of health and fitness.
Out here, we'll share informal, inclusive advice for anyone trying to improve their mental and physical well-being, based on our own experiences and professional knowledge from our special guests.
So let's lace up and get out in it.
And here we are. Welcome to episode 29. And what a week it has been. How are you, Maria Herring?
I'm very well, thanks, James Bale.
What's making you laugh?
Your intro makes me laugh.
Was it how well I quickly get into character?
Absolutely, yeah. It's the all severity 2 seconds beforehand, and then launching into this. Well, here we are, and
it's like watching a trained actor go about their business, isn't it?
Trained monkey,
shaved monkey. What's been going on?
But yeah, it's good. It's Friday, so that's always fun. And it's been a sunny day all day, although it's just started raining. As soon as you came onto my computer screen, it started raining in France.
I do have a grumpy cloud that follows me around, and I must be
a grumpy cow.
A grumpy cloud. I must be transmitting it to France. I don't have a grumpy cow, no.
But that would be funny though, because there's you know in England there's that saying, it's raining cats and dogs.
Yes.
Here in France they say il pleut comme une vache qui pisse, which is it's raining like a pissing cow. So it kind of made sense if you have a grumpy cow that's pissing on everything.
Cows aren't grumpy. Crows. Why can't I say cows? Anyway, let's move away from the big fuck off farm animals. Let's
move away from the bovine obstacles.
Yeah.
How are you, James?
I'm not too bad. I'm actually pretty good. You'll find out later in the week how I've come through my turbulent period, and I've justified a few things to myself, and I've made some decisions that have allowed me to move forward in my brain mentally.
Blimey.
And unshackle myself from the darkness I was in last week.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you'll find out. Anyway, what have you done this week to get out in it?
Got out in it. Well, this week to get out in it, today is Friday. So this morning I did my sports in the park with all my ladies, which was great. It's so much fun. I do love that session on a Friday morning with my ladies. It's so cool. And then straight after I did it was an easy run, but in the middle of the easy run, you put in some hill repeats, which was interesting. It was very interesting. Did you manage
to time your run to reach a hill at that point?
It did. Yeah, nice. It was really cool. Yeah, that's the beauty, I think, of living in a very, very hilly region. There's a hill whenever you need one. So that was cool. So that was my Friday. Yesterday I did strength, which is madness. And then on Wednesday, I had an easy run. That was just 45 minutes, I think, or 40 minutes, something like that. That was nice. Tuesday, I had yoga and my speed intervals, which was also very nice. And on Monday was a rest day. So that was cool. And I had a long run on Sunday, which I can't remember whether I phoned it in or not. I feel like I didn't do my full Sunday long run.
You did the 2 hours, but what you didn't do was the 1.5 hour hike you said you were going to do to accompany it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so what we've done this week
after the run.
What we've done this week is we've put your 1.5 hour hike on the Saturday. You're going to be doing a 2 hour run on the Sunday. It's kind of, we're going into a maintenance period now.
Okay, yeah, because I was well fucked on Sunday after my run.
I got that impression.
I had no energy. It was mental. Absolutely mental. But what about you?
Well, what have I done this week to get out in it? As you know, I've been doing a lot of traveling. I've been doing a lot of working. I'm very busy at the moment. So I've I haven't done a huge amount of run training this week.
Good
But
work.
what I have been doing is lifting my weights, keeping myself moving, really focusing on my nutrition, focusing on my diet. I've been for a couple of walks outside when it's not raining. It's raining constantly at the moment. So
Comme une vache qui pisse.
yeah, indeed that. My grumpy cow is my grumpy cow. Why am I calling them cows? My grumpy cow is urinating all over me constantly. And so it's been a less of the getting out on it, more of the focused on work, lifting weights, being healthy, mentally keeping myself in the right place to allow that to cope with the workload that I've got at the moment. So yeah, it's all good, but we'll talk a bit about we'll talk more about my coping strategies in the let's be honest section later. I'm mildly concerned that I can't speak at the moment, which isn't great for a podcast.
This is quite.
I'm just hoping I'm not having a stroke or something like that.
We'll all be witness to it.
Yes, my slow degradation. That's the podcast. It's not a podcast. It's a podcast. Jesus. Oh my God. Anyway, so my getting out in it has really been focused around keeping myself in a mentally good place, healthy, happy, lifting weights, and knowing that I'm at least ticking some boxes while I'm in this really, really busy period. But we've got an interesting guest this week, haven't we?
We have, actually. It was thoroughly interesting. We spoke to her earlier on in the week, which was weird for me because I'm a girl of routine, and it was weird having a hike and a chat at the beginning of the week, but it worked, and she was really fascinating. I really enjoyed talking to her.
Yeah, really interesting. Someone who, I mean, we'll delve into it after the interview, but someone who's got a very specific knowledge on a specific topic, which is something that I think both of us had gaps in our knowledge, which was nice to have them filled in, which is the point, isn't it, really, of talking to all these different people?
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's crack on with it, huh?
Strap our hiking boots on and go back in time.
Let's do it.
All right. Getting into it. So this week, we're lucky enough to be joined by Lindsay Newbold. Lindsay helps female runners achieve weight loss success while supercharging their energy and confidence through personalized nutrition coaching. Lindsay, thanks for joining us. How are you going?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. Now, we start every interview with the same question to every guest. What have you done this week to get out in it?
I have been running, especially this morning in the sun, which was a bonus. And I did get out on the bike at the weekend as well, which haven't been for about a month. And my back was not happy afterwards.
So oh, really?
I need to make that a bit more regular, I think.
It being November the 7th today, you told us before we started recording that you managed to go for a run in a pair of shorts today.
I did. It was 10
That's
degrees.
Impressive.
So Oof. I was like shorts, long sleeves, happy days.
Yeah. 10 degrees is the decision point for me.
100%. So, Single figures equals leggings. That's my rule of thumb, at least. It works quite well.
So we'll start off by just take us through what you do and how you approach your coaching business.
Oh, yeah. So I'm a nutrition coach that specializes in working with female runners who want to lose weight around sort of the stone mark. And their typical approach has been, like the generic diets, slimming groups, quick fix approaches, banning carbs, and, having like pretty low calories. And very quickly, their energy levels have, disappeared. Running becomes a huge struggle, and, they basically give up on their weight loss journey because they can't make it work whilst they run. So I became aware of this problem probably about 6-7 years ago, as I was sort of becoming more of a runner myself and spending more time with the running community. And with my sort of sports science background and then nutrition on top of that, I was like, there must be a way to make this work. Surely it can't be a possible thing. So that's kind of what led me to really focus in on it, so that I could help these female runners actually achieve their weight loss that they want from a health perspective, whilst also still achieving success with their running and actually enjoying it. I think the enjoyment part of running is so important. So I want more female runners to actually enjoy their runs and it not just be a struggle and like quite horrific for some of them.
So what is it about a stone? Is that like a magic weight? Because a stone, that's 7 kilos, about 14 pounds.
Yeah.
What is it about that figure that made you choose it? Is it because that's the kind of standard overweightness of people, or?
Oh, that's literally what I have heard from numerous conversations over the years I've had with female runners when I ask them about their goals as a general term, not specifically about their weight loss. The want to lose a stone is literally the overarching number that I've heard ringing in my ears for years. So that's usually the first step for most of the runners that I work with, is they want to lose that stone that they've struggled to lose or have lost in the past but regained relatively quickly, having gone off a diet in the past.
When people say that I want to lose a stone, from your professional perspective, do you think, well, yeah, actually you need to lose a stone, or is there often a sort of, well, actually maybe the weight, the stone in itself doesn't reflect it all, maybe there's a recompositioning to be done, because weight only represents one metric when it comes
Oh,
to
100%.
health and well-being?
Yeah. I mean, again, with everyone that I speak to, I always make sure that that is an appropriate goal for them. But typically the runners that I do speak to, it is from the perspective of they are that little bit overweight, and the health benefit of losing that stone is kind of the overarching reason for it, rather than it being a performance driven goal
Okay.
as such.
Yeah,
Because again, that is a very that's a very interesting subject area, of course, from like an eating disorder perspective and that element, but that is not the population of people I work with. It is literally from a health perspective that losing a stone would be advantageous for them, irrespective of the fact they're a runner anyway. It's just making sure they can do that in an appropriate way so their running isn't impacted negatively and therefore has a negative impact on their health.
Is
So,
there
sorry, go ahead.
sorry, is there a problem if you're a little bit overweight? Because for me, like, an extra stone doesn't sound like a massive amount of weight, but is that really detrimental if you start running or start doing some kind of high impact sport like that? Is carrying that extra stone massively detrimental?
I mean, it completely depends on the individual and what their weight is. Like, if you're on the slightly healthier range and you gain a stone, that's probably not going to have a huge impact. But for somebody that is overweight and has maybe other health complications or issues that are currently happening or could potentially happen in the future, then obviously losing that stone would be of a benefit for them.
Why do you think weight management and body composition management is so difficult, both physically and mentally? Why do you think people struggle with that so hard in this world that we live in?
Yeah. And again, huge amount of reasons for that, but I'll
Yeah, it's
talk
a big
about
topic. It's a big topic.
typically come across is a lot of the women I work with are mums. So, they've had their family and their focus point has moved towards their children, and they've sort of put themselves last in the pile of like the to-do list as such. So it's over many years of their focus being away from themselves that they kind of find themselves in this imbalanced way of life and running and health. And it's then finding a way to approach the weight loss in a healthy way, but it still supports the running so they have enough energy for the running. So that's kind of the premise of like being a mum and the focus points of their time and attention. But again, it can be busy lives, and then the habits and behaviors people develop because of that, and again, not really thinking about themselves and how important they actually are. Like, I think especially again looping back to the mums, is a lot of the women I work with, they don't actually think they're important and are worth the time or effort to like look after themselves and dedicate time to improving their health.
So do you spend a lot of your time almost like with your clients? Do you spend quite a lot of your time almost like a counselor, helping them through the mental side of the health goals?
Yeah, over the years, that's become a huge part of what I do. It's kind of the way I coach has developed quite a lot towards the mindset element and confidence and things like that. Again, because this is what I've been presented with on like people's problems and barriers and things they need to get over. So as much as nutrition coaching is like, you know, the main gist of it, it's more than just looking at their nutrition. It's all the other elements of life, behavior change, habits, all that sort of positivity and believing in themselves as well. So they've got confidence in life, but then also to think, actually, I can pick that event, know that I'm healthy, I fuel well, I recover well, got a good run plan, and I can actually execute on that goal for that event and believe I can achieve it. And then when they do, like, it's the best thing in the world to like, you know, be part of their journey towards that. It's fantastic.
Amazing, yeah. Because I don't have kids, but I am a woman who runs, and I do train for events, and I do know that it takes a buttload of time to do training, and
100%.
then yeah, and then to also spend a lot of time just not even making food, but just thinking about food. What do I need for this week for my training? What will I need to bring on that event? So I can understand how if there are that for some women out there who are mothers and they put themselves last, that must be a weird thing to start doing. Like
Yeah.
thinking about just you, taking that time out for just you must be it must be difficult.
Yeah, it really is. And, you know, I don't have kids either. So again, it's understanding the client I have in front of me and just getting that full picture of what their life is like. And then together we, you know, navigate their life and put in place good, healthy habits that support the weight loss element of their goal, but also the running element as well, and just life in general. And it's amazing the amount of clients that actually say the positive impact it's had on their family as well, going through the process that we go through. So yeah, it's brilliant.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Because like if you don't look after yourself, how can you possibly look
Exactly.
after other people? It's like the that thingy on the aeroplanes where you have to put your oxygen mask
Yeah,
on yourself first before you do it for anyone else.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah, but we
so true.
don't. Is that just a woman thing? Is that just us who thinks we can't take time out for ourselves, or is that everyone?
I think from obviously from what I've experienced with the clients I work with, obviously being massively skewed to women, that comes up a lot. I'm sure there's probably, maybe James can chip in here, but from a male
Yeah.
perspective, like I'm sure there probably are some guys that think like that, but I think it's probably rarer.
I think, yeah, it's probably rarer from a societal perspective.
Yeah,
You know, historically, years and years and years of the way society's been ordered. Hopefully, things might change and keep changing and keep getting
yeah,
better. But yeah, there's certainly, I think, there's a historic significance to how women have seen themselves and put themselves in a certain position within the family structure, and maybe put themselves last when it comes to their needs. Certainly,
yeah.
Because you're out of the three of us, James, you're the only one who's got kids. Do
yes.
you do you feel guilty when you set a training schedule for yourself and you're like, I have to do this and then I'll do something with my kids later?
I tend to fit it around life. I go really early or I go really late, or I lift my weights when everyone's in bed. It's balancing that is a art in itself, I think. And yeah, suppose sometimes if you've got a long run at the weekends, you can find yourself going out for a few hours, but you just got to find a way to fit it into life, and not to anyone's detriment is the key, I think. Um, what I was going to say is when it comes to weight loss and the mental side of it, nothing annoys me more than when people say, "Oh, weight loss is easy. It's just, you know, eat less than you burn and you lose weight." Because if it was that easy, we'd be living in a world where everybody would be the perfect weight. There is a huge mental side to it, and people go about it sometimes in the wrong way, and they will cut out too much too soon, deprive themselves of things that they will then crave. And cravings are pretty
They're real. They're so
real
real.
and
They
fundamental,
are.
and they're part of our makeup, because our bodies don't know that we live in 2023, and exercise is a hobby, and we're designed to eat when we want to eat and crave the things we want to crave. What do you think people do wrong when it comes to, generally speaking, trying to maintain and lose weight?
Yeah, so you touched on a few points there of, cutting out too much stuff. Like I believe that we should keep as much of everything in as possible, like the fun stuff, the things that people term treats and things like that. Like I don't ban things from people's, daily nutrition. It's just getting the balance in a slightly better way so that they are giving themselves quality food, still keeping some of the treats. I don't like the word treats, but the slightly more calorie dense foods as well.
Like crisps and chocolates.
Yeah, like you can't, if you say to someone you can't have them, like what's the first thing they're
I'm
going to
so
think
going to
about
eat
and
all the
want?
crisps.
Yeah,
Like,
so I've completely forgotten your question.
I was just wondering what people do wrong. What are the common
Yeah, that
traps
was
people
it.
fall
Yeah.
into when they're trying to start losing weight, and then perhaps they get a few weeks in or a few months in, and it all
Yeah.
goes to shit because they've cut out all the nice things they like.
Yeah, so that's the first thing, is just banning everything that's bad. Don't do that. Second thing would be trying to change too much at once. So one of the key things I do with my clients is we just focus on like 1 to 2 things at a time. Couple of weeks, see how you're getting on, and then we'll add another couple of things. Or we might not, depending on the person and the progress they're making and how they're doing, how life is and things like that. Another thing would be, especially from the running perspective and weight loss, is carbs. Carbs are bad. I have
They're
to
yummy.
remove
They're so
carbs
yummy.
to lose weight. And then that leads into like not fueling their runs because they want to lose weight. While to add calories when I'm running burns calories. Like sort of that mindset element, which you can completely understand, from a person that's like, oh, I want to lose weight, I run to burn calories. Why would I add calories?
Yeah,
like
from the layman's perspective,
yeah,
it absolutely
100%.
makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So they're kind of the key things that would spring to mind for the things that you shouldn't do and that I come across.
It reminds me of when, because Maria's quite new to running, a couple of years in, when
Nice.
we first started, and I was saying, like, you've got to increase your salt intake a little bit. We need to think about electrolytes, and it was like white noise to you, wasn't it, to begin with?
It was mental. I was like, that sounds crazy because salt will dehydrate me. I'm already really sweaty. Why would I eat more salt? That's crazy talk.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can imagine as a newer runner, it must be quite daunting just because of all the elements of running, like the actual physicality of the running and the different distances and training sessions and intensity. But then you factor in the nutrition side as well, and there's a lot to learn when you really think about it, especially if you want to run well and run for as long as you can, like longevity of it as well. So
yeah, it's mental because I still, even now, have trouble with nutrition, like not on a day-to-day basis. Like obviously I eat my meals, I cook and I eat my meals, but when I am thinking about my long runs on a Sunday, and I can be out anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, and I don't know if it's a natural thing, but when I'm out and running, I don't feel hunger. I feel thirst, but I don't feel hunger unless I'm out there for 4 to 6 hours because I'm training for an ultra.
Like the next meal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I can run for 3 hours and not feel hunger whatsoever, and I will forget to eat, and then I'll come home and I'll bonk massively and I barely have enough energy to make my tea.
Yeah.
So what can I do? How can I fix this?
Yeah, so hunger during running is something that most people probably wouldn't feel unless, like you say, once you get to that longer duration. And that's mainly because as you're running and exercising, all the blood is diverted away from your stomach towards your muscles because obviously they're moving to make you run. So it's not necessarily about hunger. It's about, I need energy So therefore I need to top up my energy stores with fuel during the run, by making sure you start in a well-fueled state as well, so that you are, you filled your tank up, and then you just want to keep topping it up during that run. And then when you get home is then you need to eat like straight away to replenish, because as much as you fuel during your run, you can't match your expenditure. It's physically impossible to take that much on, which is why the importance of eating so soon after is there. And again, you might not feel hungry straight off the back of it. You might, everyone's different. So again, it is just like creating the habits around it, really, to support your health, your energy levels, and then recovery off the back of it as well.
It's a job,
So
isn't
what-
it? When you're running,
It's
when
such
you're
a big
running,
job.
Yeah,
it's
you've got
just a
so
job.
much to think about.
You just have to remind yourself to eat, irrespective of whether you're hungry or not.
100%. Yeah.
Do the work.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I'm trying really hard.
And that's one of the interesting things with like working with the clients I do, and obviously with the weight loss goal. And when they're in like their weight loss phase, and I kind of say, you might be hungry at times, and that's okay. And then I sort of preempt that, once you hit your goal weight, and then we have to go into maintenance phase, or when your long runs are really long and we have to make some adjustments to your nutrition, there'll be times I'm telling you to eat and you won't be hungry, and it'll kind of go against some previous things I've told you because of where we are in like your weight loss journey, or you're at maintenance. So that's again a little bit of a mindset shift people have to have around kind of learning one set of nutrition and habits for like the weight loss element, but then you can't lose weight forever, you'll disappear. So you have to, at some point, you're happy with where you're at, we maintain, and then again it's learning some slightly different habits, albeit most of them are pretty solid by that point. It's just a few tweaks, because you need a little bit more food, so you're maintaining your weight rather than eating less than you need to lose the weight. So it's like the end part of the journey, which is the most important step for somebody that wants to lose weight, because you want to learn how to maintain it, to stop that cycle of yo-yo dieting, which is what I come across on a daily basis with the conversations I have. So that's the ultimate goal, is to stop that yo-yo and just learn the good stuff, understand how it works, apply it with your running too, and then for the rest of your life maintain all the good stuff that you've put in place.
So we've talked about what people do wrong when they launch into it, massive calorie deficit, cutting out all the stuff they like. What is, if you're starting in day one and you're thinking, right, I want to go on a weight loss journey, what steps should somebody take as a general person to make sure they're making the right choices?
You say general, as a runner, right?
Yeah, as a runner. Yeah. I just meant like, I'm not talking
Yeah.
about somebody who's hugely overweight or somebody hugely underweight, but just somebody who's sort of, in that gray zone, and they're thinking, right, what choice is going to make right now to help me along the right path?
Cool. So quality of food will be key, because if you are somebody that eats a fair amount of like processed foods, convenience bits, that's higher calorie just because of the way it's made. It's going to have a higher fat in it, not very good quality ingredients. So if you can focus just on switching to quality foods that are real, then that's going to decrease your calories without even looking at any numbers or anything like that. So that'd be like the first focus I would suggest, is quality, and then looking at the quantity and tuning into yourself and how you feel. So sort of like from an energy level perspective, hunger, cravings, these are all like metrics that I look at with my clients, so that we again have that complete picture along the whole way, and then I'll know what needs tweaking and adjusting. But it is about tuning into yourself as well, but quality will be the first thing.
Nice. I love it. I mean, I tend, like you say, the processed foods, higher calorie density. No food really is fattening, eh? It's just the case that you get more calories from some for a less amount of satiation.
Yeah, 100%.
So what is maintenance? You touched on that a minute ago, but like you say, you can't lose weight forever. When you get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm where I want to be, how do you transition from the weight loss to the maintenance phase?
Yeah. It's a great question. And I've literally a couple of clients right now have just sort of, they're in the first month of maintenance, which is great. And some of them are like, it's a bit scary because they have to eat a bit more. Like when you actually look at calorie balance and the equation, you have to have a calorie deficit, so you eat less than you need to lose the weight, and then you have to eat a maintenance, so you eat a bit more than you have been, because if you keep eating less, obviously you'll keep losing weight, and that's not healthy. So the maintenance element is, again, it's a mindset shift of, I can eat more but I won't gain weight. That's literally what they're worried about, because obviously in the past they eat more, they gain weight, but this is a different way around because they're at their goal weight. So one of the key things we do in this time is we make new goals, because their initial goals were, typically lose the stone, they want more energy for running, maybe run a certain time for a half marathon or something. So now we have to make new goals and a new focus, otherwise you're kind of just aimless, and the maintenance is just like a word, it's not a direction. So we just redirect them, and it's like, well, what do you want the rest of your life to look like? Like, how do you want to feel? What sort of things do you want to be doing? So it is just getting them just to refocus, so they don't, lose track of what they're actually doing or what that bigger picture is. So a lot of them is like, well, I want to keep running. I want to be healthy. I want to keep this weight as best as possible, kilogram to here or there, and just be confident and not be worried, and just replicate what we've been doing.
And do you, when you with your clients, do you use exercise as a weight loss tool, or is the weight loss primarily through nutrition, calories in, calorie out? The exercise is there for fitness and health and cardiovascular health and strength.
Yeah.
And how do the two balance against each other?
Yes, I mean, everyone that I work with already runs, fairly regularly. So I don't touch exercise from a weight loss perspective at all. We do it from nutrition. And obviously when I work out calories, if that's what we focus on for their metric of weight loss, I factor in their exercise levels. And of course, their exercise levels will change according to training they're doing, if they've got an event, etc., like that. So we obviously have to factor both in to the actual physical equation that I use if we're working out the calories and macronutrients. But the focus is eating enough to support the exercise they're doing, whilst taking into consideration the weight loss element. So it is just that fine tuning of balance, which is where generic diets get it very, very wrong, and is actually quite dangerous.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
Sorry, yeah. I'd like to ask your opinion on, as a nutritionist, on intermittent fasting, because this is something I've been doing for a number of years now. I do the version where I have an 8-hour eating window and then fast the rest of the time. And I did it, I started because I'd read there was a bunch of research that said it was quite good at minimalizing the risk of getting cancer, because there's a lot of female cancer in my family. It's got a lot of my cousins and my mum all died of cancer, and intermittent fasting was one of those things that I thought, this looks interesting as a way to kind of mitigate all of those things. As a nutritionist, what do you think of intermittent fasting for somebody who is a frequent and a long distance runner?
My opinion would be to not do it.
Okay.
Because of running and also being a woman. What's your sort of your...
I do, normally it's 10 till 6, but sometimes depending on my work, it might be 10:30 till 6:30. There's kind of an hour either side of that, depending on my schedule.
Yeah, so you eat between 10 a.m. 6 p.m.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And when would you do your training?
So I normally do my run before my window opens. So I would go out and do this. This counts my Sunday long run, because before I do that, I'll always have a giant bowl of porridge before I tackle my Sunday long run. But I'll do my training in the morning before my window opens, so that I'm back home and I can eat because my window is open.
Got it. So you'll come home and you'll eat straight away.
Yeah.
Cool. And
these week time training sessions are an hour or less?
Yeah.
That was literally my next question. What's your duration? Yeah. So I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Stacey Sims.
I haven't, no.
So she's a female physiologist who studies basically everything about women and endurance sport. And a lot of the research for women specifically and fasted running, which is essentially what you're doing there, is that it is not the best state for us to be in. We perform best in a fueled state. So therefore, intermittent fasting wouldn't be the like preferred option. Again, you know, there's individuality with it, and obviously you've got different circumstance for the reason behind doing it. But I would recommend checking her out because she's got some fantastic information around the topic. But essentially, with what you're doing, the way around it would be just to have like something small before your runs in the morning. So like if you're going out, say at 9 a.m. and your window opens at 10, if you could have a small piece of carbohydrate, so it could just be an energy gel or an energy chew or half a banana before going out, it just means that you've got carbohydrate in your system, which your body is going to use to fuel that run. That's kind of literally what she says is around that. So it's something to look into.
That is very interesting because I did threshold training this morning, speeds, and it was only 45 minutes. But when I came home, I was exhausted. It was quite tough. So I do find sometimes I have loads of energy on a fasted run, but then other days where it's just like my legs feel like they're made of lead and I can barely move. So that's interesting. A little half a banana.
Yeah, you don't need much. It's just enough to just give your body that little bit of carbohydrate that it's going to be using in the run. Because you think if you had your last meal at 6 p.m, assuming there's carbohydrate in that meal, a lot of that is going to be used up just keeping you alive, you know, whilst you're asleep, etc. So you don't need a huge amount. Obviously, the preference would be to have a proper breakfast before all the runs, being a woman. But there's certain times, of course, that isn't possible for everyone. So that is the sub bit of advice, is just have something small beforehand, so you've got something for your body to draw upon.
Yeah, you always fuel your long runs, and before and during, but also, you know, add in the fact that you do generally have a very early morning, very milky coffee. So there are some sugars involved in it. Let's not pretend it's a complete carbohydrate-free fast.
It's oat milk as well, so I think there's probably protein as well.
Yeah. Which, you know, is that part of that fueling sort of matrix, really. But Lindsay, tell us about bread, because we both love bread.
Love bread.
And I saw one of your posts. I saw one of your posts the other day, and you know, bread's evil, isn't it? We should all just ignore bread.
Yeah, terrible for you. Everyone, stop, please.
Don't tell me that I live in France and the bread.
No, exactly. You live in the best place for bread. No, bread, it is literally like a runner's best friend, especially female runners. Like, bread has got such a bad rap from, you know, historic dieting culture and things that are banned, and certain diets are, you know, no carb, low carb, whatever. So carbs generally, but bread is just like, people are scared, like female runners are scared to have it. And I see it a lot, like when people start working with me, we have a food diary for a week, so I can, you know, get that real snapshot of their reality, so I know how to help them. And very commonly, lunchtime is a salad and maybe some sort of protein, depending on the person, but it's very void of breads, sandwiches, you know, across the whole week. So, you know, one of the first things I say is, you know, you can have a sandwich if you want at lunch, because we need to be adding a bit more carbohydrate into your diet. And they're like, oh, what, really? I'm like, yeah, sandwiches are great. Like, they're great anyway, but as a runner, they're like brilliant. They're so important, especially like most people sort of run after work. Who I work with, it's just kind of how their days work. So you got to be thinking about, well, you're running after work, so that's going to be like probably before dinner. So what you have at lunch and afternoon snacks are going to be fueling that run. So bringing a sandwich at lunch, happy days.
I love that, because I love a sandwich.
Same, I have one every day.
So we can have bread every day. Oh my God, I love that. I love you.
Again, of course, this is where quality comes in, you know. Obviously going for like, you know, whole grain brown varieties is the preferred option. You know, you get vitamins and minerals, a bit of protein, fiber within that as well, versus, you know, your white bread. It's not to say you can't have white bread. That serves its purpose when we think about carb loading for events and things like that, because you don't want as much fiber for, you know, gut issues and stuff. You don't want to be so that's when you want less fiber, and the white bread actually is then your best friend. So again, it's just those little tweaks around what you're doing, but bread is definitely a winner for me.
That's cool. Is that the same idea as well then for rice and pasta? Because normally I stick with brown everything, brown rice, brown pasta, brown bread. So if I'm going to do a half marathon or something on the weekend, I can switch up to white pasta, white rice.
You can if you want. I mean, I personally don't. I have no issues having brown anything, you know, the day of or day before events. I have no gut issues at all. Some people are a bit more sensitive, so therefore the switch to the white is preferable for them. So again, it is just testing what works for you, but knowing you can switch to white if you want, it's totally fine.
I love that. Oh my God. I love you so much for saying that about bread. Thanks.
I hope more people are as well, because like sandwiches are just brilliant. You can do so much.
Best. They're the best thing. Sandwich and a little packet of crisps. I mean, it was my childhood lunchtime. I grew up on that.
100%. Same. And a little cake bar.
Oh, we used to have a little apple with ours, because I'm sure my mum was like, well, they've got to have some kind of healthy thing in there. Chuck in an apple.
What's your favorite sandwich filling?
Such a good question, because I do love being super inventive. I'm a fan of a hot sandwich. So I'll because I'm vegan, so I'll quite happily roast up some peppers with some onions and courgettes, and then whack that in a French baguette with lashings of hummus. Yes.
Sounds good.
My favorite sandwich. What's your go-to sandwich filling of choice?
I love leftover roast chicken on a Monday morning. On the Monday morning. I don't have a sandwich Monday morning. Monday lunchtime. Roast on a Sunday.
With a bit of
Sunday
salt on there and
leftover.
some mayonnaise or
I literally just go chicken. Just chuck in the chicken. Love it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair play.
Yeah.
What's your take on we were talking about processed food earlier,
Mhm.
and high quality, you know, making sure that we make the right choices around the amount of calories you're getting for the amount of food that you've satiated you're feeling. What's your take on processed food for exercise? You know, bars, energy gels, drinks, things like that.
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah.
Very good question. I mean, yeah, the market for that stuff is huge. So, you know,
It is huge. And the industry is constantly telling you need more, you need more, you need more.
100%. So I think it's hard to not sort of automatically think, oh, I need that bar, I need that gel, and sort of go that sports nutrition processed route. I do think it serves its purpose. I've got a client I've just finished working with who was actually not a weight loss client. She was more around having enough energy, needing to eat a bit more. She had a marathon. She had Chicago a few weeks ago. And she was quite anti sports nutrition products. And that's totally cool. Like, everyone's got their views, and we work with that. So we started off her fueling with real food, which you can totally do. And again, you think of an ultra, there's no way you can just have gels. It's not going to work.
No.
So it's like you find what works for you as an individual. So we started her with like naked bars and mini saurine loaves and things like that.
Oh, I love a saurine loaf.
Yeah, brilliant.
Banging.
And initially, like, her long run training was going well with that. But then as we got, you know, longer runs, having to take that type of food on frequently, she was like, oh, I'm getting quite full. And I was like, that's why you can't like 100% rely on real food, especially for a marathon. It's not, you know, depending on the person and time. She was around a like 4-hour mark. So that's quite a lot of stuff to take on for 4 hours. So then I said, well, you know, what are your thoughts on doing a combo? So we do a little bit of sports nutrition products, a little bit of real food. She's like, that's cool, we'll try that. So we tried various different products for her, because again, they're all made with different ingredients. They've got different textures, different flavors. So it is testing, find what works for you, your gut, what you can handle. So we then had a bit of a combo, and she was happy with that, but it still felt a little bit, full, a bit uncomfortable sometimes. So then we're like, well, why don't we just do one run with just gels and chews and see how that works? So she did it. She was like, I felt amazing. Like, I had so much energy. It was great. So I was like, cool. So you're happy to replicate that going forward? She's like, yeah, that's fine. So again, you've got to do a lot of testing with fueling.
Yeah.
To find what works for you as an individual. And I would really say to people, like, don't be put off by horror stories you hear from other people, because just because something didn't work for someone else doesn't mean it won't work for you. And vice versa, something doesn't work for you doesn't mean it won't work for someone else. So
people are so different.
A very personal thing.
I can survive on dates alone, I think. Dates and electrolytes, whereas you need something savory, don't you, if you're doing a long run?
I struggled with, I did used to use gels on my longer runs at the weekend, and they worked at the beginning, but then I started feeling quite thick because they're so sweet.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary how sweet they are.
Yeah.
So they've made me feel a bit sick, and also a little bit guilty for my poor teeth, because I was like, that's a lot of sugar I'm putting into my mouth. But I did find before the last ultra I did a couple of weeks ago, savory gels, which is basically baby food. They just puree up a bunch of veggies, put it in a kind of pouchy thing, and you just suck on that, and it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's savory, and you can just take a few sips. And then I have solid food as well. I do feel better with solid food. It makes me feel a little bit less sick. So I'll have like dry biscuits, Cliff bars, that kind of thing that I can nibble like a rabbit.
Last time you did an ultra, didn't you have some guy in a car waiting every few miles with a sandwich for you?
Yes, I had somebody crewing for me, holding out a sandwich as I went past the sandwiches.
Gotta love the sandwiches. They can pop up anywhere. Lunch or during a run.
Yeah. I tend to make my own gels nowadays with sweet potato boiled up with some coconut water, dates, and a bit of salt. Whisk all that up.
Nice.
And you can, happy days. I can survive on those for days on end, I think. They taste like custard. It's amazing.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Try it.
I think that's the thing, though. It's being organized enough to do that. I am not. And I would end up not making the food and then end up going on my long run without bringing stuff. But yeah, custard sounds good. I do love custard.
Yeah. I have these things, which is great podcasting now, this, isn't it? Holding up one of these little reusable gel pouches.
Get the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can buy them now, can't you? Little mini squeezy tubey things that you can fill with your own stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they're banging.
So if I were to get super organized, and as somebody who is more of a savory kind of person, what can I smush up to put in one of those things as a savory gel? What would be the best kind of food, do you reckon?
To mush up into
a savory gel. Yeah. What would give me the most sort of bang for my buck?
That's a very good question. I don't know that I know the answer off the top of my head. That would involve a bit of testing and a bit of experimenting, I think. Savory.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a challenge, because when you start going the route of savory and then obviously carbohydrate, having enough
is sugar basically, isn't it?
And when you fuel it becomes a challenge. So I do know the answer off the top of my head, but James's idea there of sweet potato and those bits mixed up. So
yeah, I mean, if you took the dates out, left the sweet potato to be its own carbohydrate source, perhaps put a bit of cumin in there, make it into a curried sweet potato flavor rather than a sweet one.
Fancy, yeah. I'm going to be fueling my runs with curry and rice. I'll have a
vindaloo. That's a challenge. Definitely. So again, from a savory perspective, eating, that's quite easy, but then thinking of trying to make it into a gel-like substance, or something, that's the the challenge to get that consistency.
Yeah, because I think that's why I've always been rubbish at fueling my long runs, because I haven't got a sweet tooth, and I'll absolutely, ram a giant packet of crisps when I get back home, but on the long runs, when I've just got Cliff Bars or anything like that, it's like I just don't want to eat it, and I know it's bad, but so yeah, I think I need to do some research into savory fueling and nutrition. Yeah.
So it's definitely a bit of a newer way of doing it, 100%, but it doesn't mean you can't make it work. I'll be intrigued if you find something out.
Okay, well, I'll let you know.
So when you've got somebody comes to work with you, you've got a new client, you say they will write down what they eat on a day-to-day basis and give you a little, here's what I normally eat. And you say, so we've got a salad in it, a lack of carbohydrates normally, because people believe carbohydrates are evil. How honest are people when they first sign up with you? Or do you get this kind of like very perfected idea of what they eat in a week?
No, they're very honest, because I have a very honest conversation with them before they sign up. So before they start, and we have a very honest conversation about their life, their goals. So honesty is a huge theme of my coaching, because if neither of us are honest, like, how can we work together? How can I help them? So the honesty is just set from the very beginning. And, when I say about the food diary, I just say, don't change how you eat. This is the beginning. I have to see exactly what you're doing. Otherwise, I don't get the full picture, and the advice I give won't be as appropriate as it could be. So I do just reiterate, be honest, don't change anything. I'm here to help you, not judge. So just show me. So I like to think that I do get a pretty good, honest reflection of what they do.
I'd be slightly paranoid about doing something or hang out and be like, oh my God. Oh, those packets of crisps I ate on Saturday. Yeah.
But they do all say that it's a very useful thing to do, because then they see it in a different way, because they're obviously focusing on it a bit more than most day to day. You just go about your life, you don't really think really too much about what you're doing. So they always find it useful just to, really focusing on what they're doing. And it does make them then question sometimes, do I need that? And then they remember, she said, do what I do. So they do eat it. But it already makes them start thinking that a little bit different just from week one doing that. So it's a really good tool.
I'm interested to know your take on carbohydrates, because we all know they're fuel, they're useful, we need them. What about timing? Is there anything about timing your carbohydrates that you need to think about as an endurance runner?
Yeah, 100%. So as we touched on earlier about sort of, starting in a fueled state, so that you can, start with your energy stores as stocked as possible. So when you think about, as a morning runner, as an example, having your breakfast before, again, everyone's slightly different with digestion times, how it sits on their stomach, etc. And I've noticed as I've got a little bit older that my digestion has slowed a fair bit. So I used to be okay to have like a bowl of porridge and go running in an hour, whereas now I'm like, I definitely need about an hour and 45.
Yeah.
So again, so it's the timing element of like eating before a run, again around that sort of 2-hour mark, some people 90 minutes, and again it depends how much you eat. So if you're going out for a shorter run, you have something smaller, so maybe half an hour, like a piece of toast, run in half an hour, again that might work. So again, it is just a bit of testing. There's a rough range of time to leave, but figure out what works for you. And then when it comes to fueling during it, again, you need to start fueling a lot earlier. Like most people will be like, oh, I can run half marathon and I don't take on any fuel. And again, some people, half marathon might be 2 hours, some might be 2.5, some might be an hour and a half. So again, it's dependent on the duration, not distance. I always talk about duration with my clients, because time is consistent, distance is to a point, but it depends how fast or slow you're running, so it's different. So always go on duration. So fueling wise, we go on time, time stamps in their run, not distance. So quite a lot of the women that I work with are quite new to fueling. So we don't go off like, you know, the science out there's like, oh, you can have 120 grams of carbs an hour. It's like, hang on a minute.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's
Hold
not
up,
for
hold up. We need to adjust our guts
everyone.
a little
That's
bit.
What does that even
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, I've got no idea what
Exactly.
that looks like.
Yeah, so that's a lot of carbs in an hour.
Yeah, yeah.
So if they're new to it, they're a bit reluctant. We start small, build it up. So initially, I just get people to have a gel or their preferred energy source at like 45 minutes into their run to test how it feels, get used to it. And then as their runs get longer, the next 45 minutes, so an hour and a half, have another gel or whatever it is, and just get used to how it feels. And we just get them close to like 30 grams of carbs an hour. That's our first marker. That's like the lowest point of recommendation for carb intake. And then we just start edging back the times. They might have their first gel at 40 minutes or 30 minutes and then repeat that cycle, just so they then increase how much they're having within that hour to their tolerance, because everyone's different.
Like you say,
and the more you can have, like, the better, to a point. It has to go on you as an individual
until you're gastrically uncomfortable. And
yes, then that's too much. We need
yeah,
to reverse a bit.
there is a real push at the moment in the sports science world to from industry saying more carbs is better, more carbs is better. Like you say, 120 grams per hour. What's your take on this? Increase the carbs. Do you think with adjustment most people could get up there, or do you think there's a lot of marketing involved?
It's a very good question. There's always part marketing, of course, but there's obviously science to back it up. But most of the research is done on guys. So when you apply it across to women, there's very few women, even at elite level, that can take on that much carbohydrate. Again, that's currently. Who knows what the future will be with that? Things are always developed to, etc., consistencies, whatever. And again, it's just your gut tolerance. Who knows, as humans, we might adapt and evolve and we can take on more. Who knows? But I think gender-wise, there's different ranges. That I don't think there is many women that could tolerate that.
No.
That I've really seen at the moment. It might change, but I think the more you can take on, like, obviously the better for your performance, because you're giving your body what it needs, which is carbohydrate at that intensity. But it has to be to the individual for their tolerance, so they're comfortable, they're confident with that fueling strategy, and it can be replicated pretty consistently across training and racing.
Yeah, I have ulcerative colitis, so I really struggle with absorption and taking on carbs. So I tend to do most of my training fasted unless it's a long session, and then I'm very delicate with what I put in my body. So
that must be a challenge.
It is a little bit, yeah. And I've tried some of these really high carb gels in the past and tried to sort of just out of interest to see what would weird thumbs up thing out of interest to see what would happen, and it doesn't sit well at all. So I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
I was just going to ask about the difference for fueling in carbohydrates. Is there a difference for women who are perimenopausal and women who are still young?
Yes, there is a difference. And again, with like perimenopause, all women have a different experience of that. So again, it is what works for you, again, to a point. But again, with Dr. Stacey Sims, what she recommends is that once you're perimenopausal and then beyond and you're postmenopause, that the way you fuel needs to change a little bit. Again, depending on what you experience with fueling. So we think of fueling, premenopause, similar to guys, but just lower levels of intake per hour, purely carbohydrate. But when you sort of are perimenopause, having a bit more of a combination of fuel sources. So carbohydrate alongside a little bit of protein, a little bit of fat, because your gut can tolerate that better. And again, it's individual preference. None of my clients have needed to do that, but we know it's an option that we can try if needed. And again, rather than it being a grams of carbohydrate recommendation per hour, you go off a calorie range instead. So there is a bit of a difference.
That's
that
really
can be used.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's really good to know, because one of my favorite, it's a snack I invented on one of my long runs. I mixed up like little like pretzels with cashew nuts and raisins and seeds, and I put them in a little packet, and I would nibble on those as my carb source, because I was like, there's loads of stuff, there's carbs in there, there's raisins, that's got some sugar, and then I've got some protein from the cashew nuts. But then I think, was it you, James, or was it another guest? I can't remember. Said
Probably
that,
me,
you know,
if it was awesome. Let's see what you come out with.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Eating nuts wasn't necessarily the best thing to do while I'm out on a long run. It was carbohydrates that I needed. Somebody said that. I think it might have been you, James. I'm not too sure. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna throw you under the bus.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably more of a observation about the carbohydrate, what you were trying to make yourself a little bag of energy for your running, and I was like, well, the nuts may be best afterwards, but you know, it's
It's good
partly
because
for
apparently
you.
now,
For you, it's all about creating something that actively makes you want to eat it. If nuts are part of that, then so be it, kind of thing.
but also now, because I'm perimenopausal, it doesn't matter because it's calories.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's having that combo for sure. But yeah, I mean, carbohydrate is still what's fueling you, because once your heart rate's over like 65% of your max, you're using carbohydrate. So unless you're doing fat adapted training, which is another whole topic in itself,
which you are not.
We won't be going into that. But again, that's where you might feel slightly differently. But unless you're doing that, everyone is tapping into carbohydrate as their energy source. So therefore you have to give yourself carbohydrate. It just might be a slight mix, more combo if you are perimenopause and then post. It's an option. If you struggle with like the normal way of fueling, then you can try the other. Yeah.
Fascinating. Oh, I love that. So I can eat sandwiches, I can eat the crisps, and my combo snack is awesome. I love it.
What do you do with people who like Maria is struggle to remind themselves to eat? Is there some techniques that someone can put in place to be like, right, okay, I'm going out for a 4 or 5 hour run? Do you tell people to set an alarm? What triggers can people use?
Yeah, that's literally the best option. Is like most watches have an alarm function, and then you could just type fuel and it just beep at you. And so just have that like every 30 minutes, every 45, like whatever sort of ratio you're working off, and just have that going for like time, and then eventually you'll have the habit in place that you will naturally do it. Or just keep an eye on your time and just know that 30 minutes hour that you take something on.
We definitely need to set your watch to do that, because you get too angry with me
It's a
when
great
it's
way,
me when
especially
it's me
on an
reminding
ultra,
you.
when you get really tired, you forget as well. It's a good little reminder.
Yeah, and especially when I'm doing my long runs on the hills around here, because I know all the circuits quite well. There's sections where I know that I'm going back home, even though it still might be 45, 50 minutes until I am back home. Yeah. Because in my brain, I'm like, oh, I'm on the way home now. Don't eat.
Still fuel.
Yeah.
Because you're helping your recovery. So just, keep that regularity of it in, and it'll reap the benefits off the back end of it.
Yeah, I've got to work on that. It's tough. It's hard work. It's a massive learning curve.
Yeah. And like you say, you're a couple of years in, right? So you're still learning. So
absolutely.
You are. Your athletic age is toddler. Brilliant.
Perimenopausal, chronological, athletic, toddler. Love it.
We've talked a lot about pre-run fueling, during run fueling. What about you finish your long run? You need some recovery. Where are we going to look for that hit of recovery nutrition?
Yeah. So again, carbohydrate is a key element here. As I said earlier, you fuel during, but you can't match what you expend. So you have to start replenishing straight after. And again, for women, we need to kind of utilize the first 30 minutes after any run to help with our recovery. And then that's where protein plays in a really big part for the recovery process. So running, as we know, is an impact sport. I'm sure we've all felt the impact of that on our bodies. So there's a lot of muscle breakdown that happens with running generally. irrespective of doing sessions, speed work where there's more intensity. So we need to bring in a protein source within 30 minutes of finishing, specifically for women. Again, a protein shake is the most convenient option. There are a whole range, again, thinking of like quality, buy the best you can afford. You kind of want to go for whey protein concentrate over the isolate over the concentrate is better quality. And then vegan wise, you kind of need a combo of, can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but there's like 3 key elements you need the combo of to get the right amino acid profile to then be very similar to the whey protein. You don't have to have that, but it's just a convenient option. And if you're out somewhere doing your run, you can just leave it in the car and have that. So yeah, off the back of your runs, recovery is super important, especially if you're doing a lot of running. You want to be fresh the next day, or if you're doing strength stuff as well, you want to be fresh for each of your sessions so you get the most out of everything you're doing. So yeah, 30 minutes, you need to get your carbs and protein in straight away for women, 100%.
Yeah, why is
difference.
That? Why is it you mentioned that you've got the 30-minute window, and you said specifically for women. What is it about female biology that makes that a necessity?
So when we do like running and the impact elements, we actually go into what's called a catabolic state more so than guys. I don't know the specifics, I can't remember off the top of my head why, but we do go in a catabolic state rather than anabolic, which is growth. Catabolic is breakdown. So we need to put relevant amounts of protein in to help with the repair on a cellular level. And that 30-minute time period is the key to make that happen. Whereas guys have got like 4 hours the rest of the day where they could just take on bits across the day and not have a problem. But if you get that in place as a woman, like the difference is huge. Like I've noticed it, all my clients do when they bring that in, because invariably they've got nothing in place at all after the run. They're just done in, they're just on the sofa sort of thing.
Eating 3 bags of family-sized crisps.
Yeah, exactly. And then it means that they've got energy to then spend time with their family in the afternoon on a Sunday after their long run and play with their kids, and they're okay at work on Monday and things like that, rather than before, it's a struggle. They want to have a nap and they can't because they've got kids to sort out. And then Monday at work is, a bit of a struggle. So
that's fascinating. I did not know that about the, what did you call it? Anabolic and catabolic?
Yeah.
Because I have a protein shake, but normally, because I'm quite habitual as well, I always leave my protein, because I put creatine in it as well, until the evening. It's like the last thing I have before my window closes, even though I run in the morning. Yeah. Oh man,
have it
I do
after.
everything. I'll have to have it after.
You do have a portion of high quality protein with your meal after your run. It doesn't always have to be a protein shake that you get it's just a very convenient way to do it. Having that protein shake at the end of the day is another portion of protein as part of your day.
Yeah, but if you're having it at night before bed, you want casein because it's slow release, and then it releases slowly overnight when you're asleep, whereas whey is fast.
Oh, that's interesting.
But then equally, I don't know off the top of my head what would be a vegan alternative to casein.
Yeah,
that would be something to look at. But
there are 3, I can't remember what they all are. There are 3 proteins in my powder. I know one of them is pea, and then there's 2 others, and I can't remember what they are off the top of my head.
Just trying to remember. I think it's pea, hemp,
rice, isn't it?
There's another one. I'm just trying to think of the 3 that are very similar to the whey protein. I can't remember. It's quite hard to come across because I've tried to look for some clients. It's really hard to find the specific 3
I tend
combo.
to take a collagen supplement as well to sort of make sure those aminos get delivered.
Nice.
What if anyone's listening to this and they want to come and reach out to you, how many clients do you work with? Do you have lots of clients at the moment? How do people get in touch with you?
Cool. So I'm predominantly on Facebook, so you can just add me as a friend, Lindsay Newbold, and I put all my best stuff on there. Also on Instagram as well, which is Lindsay Newbold Coaching. I typically work with like 10 to 15 clients at a time, just so that I can really give that individualized support, advice and coaching that's needed for the clients I work with. And I do have a couple of coaching spots available right now. So yeah.
There you go.
Hi.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much for all of that fascinating
Hold. We
info.
got the most important question of the podcast yet.
Yes.
The most important part of the question of the podcast that we ask every guest that comes on is, can you give us a song for the Get Out On It playlist on Spotify? Something you train to, enjoy, motivates you, or you just generally have day
A
to day?
song.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's a challenge for every guest. Our playlist is gargantuan.
I love dance music.
Cool.
Nice.
Just trying to think. I do my strength sessions to dance music. Oh my goodness, that's so hard. Can I let you know?
No, you're on the spot.
I have to look at Spotify because I literally.
This is a key indicator that you haven't listened to an episode before you came on, because you didn't know this song was coming.
Where's
This question was coming, not this song.
It does. It stumps everyone. Yeah. It's quite amusing.
hang on, let's go classic here. Let's go 90s dance.
Yes, love it. The heyday.
Indeed.
Late 90s, early noughties.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Back when I didn't even think about nutrition back then.
No one did.
Oh my god, there's too many choices. I can't. Let's just go Darude Sandstorm. That's literally what I can see.
All right. We will add that to the playlist.
Brilliant. It's such an eclectic playlist. It's mental.
Where is this playlist?
Spotify.
What's it called?
Search Get Out In It.
Oh wow, I will do that.
I'll send you a link.
All the best music is mine.
No.
Everybody will tell you. Everybody will tell you. Yeah.
No. Debatable. Well, look, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for coming and joining us.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
And
No
answering
problem.
so many questions that we had for you.
No, it's been great. Thank you very much.
Cool. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
The debrief.
The emphasis was correct, I feel.
Okay.
So what did you think of Lindsay?
I liked Lindsay a lot. I liked her a lot. She knew a lot of stuff. She taught me some new things, and she's also quite funny. So she ticked all of the boxes of awesomeness, which I really enjoyed. And I think what was most interesting for me was learning about intermittent fasting. I think I need to do some more research on that, because I think it's something I've been following for many years, since 2016, maybe even before, but around 2016 is when I started intermittent fasting. So it's good chunk of years I've been doing that, and I haven't done any further research since my research back then, and I wasn't taking into account, obviously back then I wasn't perimenopausal at the time, but I haven't done any research since then about that kind of diet regimen on, well, it's not a diet, but that kind of food structure, eating structure on an aging woman's body.
Nutritional intake schedule, we'll call it, shall we?
That sounds really wanky. I love it. Yes.
I think often it's very important to bear in mind when it comes to things like nutrition and diet and different ways of doing things, be it vegan, be it keto, be it intermittent fasting, carnivore, all of these little tribal things, is that the biggest mistake I think often that is made by people is thinking that there's one size that fits all, and then arguing like hell that your way is the only way and anyone else who's not doing what you do is unhealthy. There will be individual things that work for individual people, and different methodologies that will work for individual people, and also different intake volumes and schedules that will work for different microbiomes and different guts and things like that. So you've got to remember that the only nutritional intake schedule that will truly work for you is the one that you can maintain happily and works within your lifestyle and works within the way that you manage your days. Because if you try and do something that doesn't fit that, because you been led to believe, or even to a point you're told that it's healthier, or you're told that you'll get a better performance out of yourself if you do this. If you try and fit something into your lifestyle that doesn't work, doesn't work for you, it's likely to fall apart, and then you're likely to start making bad choices again in the future because you haven't maintained that particular regimen. Whereas if you find something that does work for you, it may not technically, scientifically be the absolute optimum that you could screw down into your life, but if you can maintain it, it's much better for you than trying to do something that doesn't fit and failing.
Yeah, and I think for me, I came to intermittent fasting way before I started running. And as I said to Lindsay in our hike and a chat, the reason I started doing intermittent fasting was a way to kind of reduce my risk of getting cancer, because it's really prevalent amongst women in my family. So I was doing it very much from a not wanting to get a disease mindset, as opposed to how can I be a better athlete mindset, because I wasn't even thinking about sports or running or any kind of movement outside of my normal hiking through trees kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it will behoove me to do a little bit more research on intermittent fasting for people who do a lot of training and for women who are moving into a different period of their life. I think that was the most interesting thing for me, was to learn that, you can't just research something once and then go, right, that's my decision, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. I think it needs to be something that's continually looked at and assessed to see if anything needs changing. But yeah, that was a really fascinating part of our conversation. Yeah.
Absolutely, because there are people out there that argue intermittent fasting makes no difference at all, and it is simply a case of people finding it easier to manage the calories in, calories out using a window like that. Then there are people out there who are real advocates of intermittent fasting that will say it'll have an effect on your hormones and have an effect on how you digest food and give you a break. So those two arguments exist, and there are many, many arguments in between. For me, I do follow an 8-hour window because it helps me manage my intake. It may be doing things for me on a sort of biological level that I don't think about and don't know, but purely on a surface level, I'm someone who was never very good at the small portion grazing thing when I'm trying to manage my calories in, calories out, because every small portion would turn into a big portion. Then before I know it, I'm having 4 big portions a day. What I like about intermittent fasting is it means that there's a long period in the day where I'm not eating, and then at lunchtime I have a big lunch where I really feel like I've filled myself up, and then I have some sort of snacky healthy things in the evening after I've done some training to help sort of just bounce me into the nighttime. That works for me, and it is the best way I've found of managing my intake. But I can't stand here, sit on my wobbly stool, and say that would work for everybody, because some people are really good at that grazing approach to nutrition. Some people aren't particularly worried about the calories in, calories out element, because they might have a metabolism that just churns and churns and churns, and they're more interested in keeping themselves healthy and that hormone balance and all the things that people talk about when it comes to intermittent fasting. But we have got Dr. Mindy Peltz, who is a fasting and hormone expert from the US. She's going to come on June next year after she's finished writing her latest book and talk us through the ins and outs of intermittent fasting.
Well excited for that. It's going to be super, super cool. But what I also found really interesting when we were talking to Lindsay was the fact that there was this big difference between male and female bodies after training when it comes to absorbing protein, or when you should take on protein, and learning that the best window for me, because I'm a woman, really is 30 minutes after training. So all this week after I've been doing any of my training, strength or running or what have you, I've really been making sure that I've been having my protein shake straight after and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was quite the eye opener.
Yeah, it's interesting that, isn't it? Because I always was of the belief, because society told me in the circles I moved in, that you had to get your protein in within 40 minutes of doing exercise. A few years ago, that changed. There was a kind of a rumbling in the sports science world that actually it doesn't matter where you get your protein, when you get your protein in that much, as long as you're getting a certain amount in within the day, broken up into a certain amount of portions at a certain amount of grams per kilogram of body weight to make sure that you're getting enough protein in, then you're happy days. Now, what's interesting is we do live in a world that tends to base, even if you don't notice sometimes, it's scientific medical research on the male form. And that's a real shame, because when I learned that information, I thought, oh, things have changed. They must know more about the anatomy of a human. Turns out they knew more about the anatomy of a man, and that women still need it within that window. And it's interesting to have heard that from Lindsay.
Yeah. I was glad she told me about that, because it really means I can focus on, because I do know that I'm really bad at fueling. Like we said during our hike and a chat, not during the day.
No, you're not bad at eating.
I'm not bad at eating
You're
at
bad
all.
at eating during exercise. Yeah.
Nobody who saw me eat my tea is ever going to say that there is a girl who's bad at eating. Nah, not at all. But I am quite bad at fueling. I get into quite bad habits where after a long run or something like that, instead of having a protein shake or whatever, I just jump straight into the packet of crisps and stuff my face full of salty, greasy stuff, because I'm absolutely ravenous, because I don't fuel my long runs properly. So I know we've had other experts on before to talk about food and fueling, but it's one of those things where I think I just constantly need people to remind me over and over and over again that this is something that you have to do.
Yeah, I liked her setting an alarm on your watch solution, because I would much prefer your watch was reminding you to eat when we're out running than I am, because you just get so annoyed with me.
Well, it's much easier to say fuck off to you than it is to my watch. Although I do often say fuck off, Garmin. Although I've got a really, really cool face on my watch at the moment. It's really fancy. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah,
It's
nice. YouTube world will be able to see that. Those listening to the podcast in audio form will have to go over to the YouTube channel, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and put a comment on there to help the algorithm.
But also, just to enjoy the lovely animation of my Garmin watch. It's beautiful.
There you go. How you getting on with your new Garmin watch?
Yeah, I dig it. It's really cool. I do love my morning reports while I'm drinking my first infusion of the day, and I flick through and I see how well I slept. I see what my training readiness is. I see what my HRV is. I see what the weather is. I love all that nonsense. I fucking love a little bit of data.
There you go.
Early morning data. So what about you and Lindsay? What did you think? Anything jump out at you with our convo with her?
No, I was intrigued going in, because I've been looked on her social medias and I'd seen that she marketed herself as someone that helped women lose that extra stone kind of thing, which is almost like a colloquial saying, isn't it? That I need to lose a stone thing.
Like literally only people in the UK will understand what that means. Like French people, no, they're like a stone, like a little rocky thing that you find on the beach. Nah, love. Americans aren't going to know what it is. Yeah, it's very colloquial to the UK.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, and in the sort of like, it's that belief that you always need to lose a little bit of weight. That kind of well, where are you at with your health? Oh, I need to lose this much weight, as opposed to thinking about it more sort of, from a performance perspective, and where's that weight going to come from, and what form is that weight in at the moment? Are you trying to reduce fat, increase muscle? What are you trying to do? And it was interesting talking to her about that, and how when she gets people on board, she sort of really thinks about their journey, what they're trying to achieve, how they are fueling, and also demystifies or demythifies some of these things that we believe and what we don't believe, because we don't believe. I fucking love bread, me.
Not you and me. Yeah, we fucking love bread. And also we love eating. I am not going to eat less, run more.
No. And often when you start running, you need to fuel those runs. You really do. I remember when we started our running journey together, and you started running completely. And I was saying to you that I think the thing I said to you most was fuel your sessions, always fuel your sessions, because I was worried that you were just going to go out the door, start running, training for ultras, and and under fuel and get sick.
Yes, and funnily enough, because we spoke to Lindsay on the Tuesday afternoon, on the Tuesday evening, and I'd done my speeds earlier on that day in the morning, and I'd done it fasted because often my morning runs, my training runs are in the morning, so they're fasted. And then today, after sports in the park, after I led that group, I came back and I was like, right, I've got to do my hills, an easy run with hills. It's going to be about an hour. So I got a little like a little cracker, a couple of little crackers, scarfed those, and then did my run. And I did feel a difference, like just having that little bit of something in my belly, not too much to kind of have it rolling around while I was running up and down hills, but just a little bit of energy as a boost. It made such a big difference. There was a really big difference between Tuesday's run and today's run.
I love a date. I love a date before a run or even during a run.
Yeah. Right. Dates. Right.
Fucking
Love
brilliant.
dates. Fucking love the taste of dates. Can't stand looking at them in the packet because they look like cockroaches.
Okie doke.
I can't eat them.
You don't eat them because of that?
Yeah, I can eat them whizzed up like a kind of non-caramel caramel. Like if you whiz them up, they go really caramelly and lush. So I love dates like that. But I cannot eat a date from a pack because it's like looks like a big beetle, cockroach.
So
Yuck.
are you concerned it might actually be a beetle? Or can you say, no, this isn't a beetle, it just looks like one and it makes me feel weird eating it?
No, it makes my tummy go funny.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Dates are great. They're a great source of quite easily digestible, quick carbohydrates. So anybody out there who's looking for something to pop in the mouth before a run or during, dates are brilliant, and they're
Eat a
cheaper than energy
cockroach.
gels as well.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start. I'm going to start experimenting a little bit with gels. I think again, find some good ones, high quality ones.
What did you think of those savory ones we got you?
They were really good, actually. They were
Mm.
really, really good when I was doing my long runs. And also they were, because like the thing with the sugar gels is you get like a little pouch. Often you have to tear the top off and you have to kind of scarf the lot of it and then either find a bin or put the wrapper in your jacket. But because it's sugary, oozy gel, it kind of...
You need these things.
Yeah. But with the savory ones, they've got like screw tops. So you can have a little sip, screw the top back on and pop it back in your running vest and jobs are good. And you don't have to have the whole thing all at once. Because I wonder if that's what was making me feel a bit queasy on my long runs back in the day, was because I was thinking, shit, man, I can't leave a half-eaten gel in my packet. It's just going to ooze gunk all over me. And so I was just like shoving the lot down my throat. So yeah, but I think I'm going to practice a bit more because the longer the run I go on, the more solid food I have, the more weighed down my vest is, and it's a little bit impractical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about vests, you've still got mine, haven't you? I want it back. I miss my vest.
Don't blame me, bitch. You're the one who left it here.
I know. Should we go and have a coffee and chew the fat a little bit?
Let's do it. Got a good coffee for you this
Chew
week.
the vegan fat.
Chew the vegan fat. Bitch. The weekly roast. Is that it?
So it's your round.
My round.
What have we got?
Okay, so I've gone back to an old one. We have had this brand of coffee before. I'm going to show it to our YouTube followers. It's the Lion d'Or brand. There's a roastery just up the road from me in the Mont d'Or, and they do fucking amazing coffee. This is like the third or fourth pack I've bought
Nice.
off them. This is their coffee from, and we like them because they are all about the fair trade and ethical production that we love so much. Plus they are small batch roasters here in the Mont d'Or, which is also quite cool. So I'm helping my my local economy and the small business people in my area. So Lion d'Or, This one I've chosen is from Brazil. And can you see there the tasting notes?
Chocolate and
And
caramel.
caramel. Oh, fucking hell. It's so good. So good. It's really, really good.
Is it as good as the one that we had from Jody?
Oh, do you know, I think it's nicer.
No way.
This particular one, this one from Brazil, because I've tried their one from Peru, which was super, super, super soft.
It was really soft. Almost, it was
really
too soft for me. It didn't have that oomph to it.
Yeah, I think it was because I hadn't ground the beans fine enough. I put the what I'd already ground, I put it back in my grinder and I did it for a second time, and it made a massive difference to the taste actually. And I also tried the one from Guatemala, I think, which was a little bit more acidic. It was more of a fruity coffee, but this one is fucking divine.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think it might be better. Sorry, Jodes, love you and all, and that coffee was Gertlash, but this one, it's quite sexual. Yeah.
I remember you hadn't ground the other one very fine at all, had you? It was almost looked like an instant coffee in its grind.
Yeah, so I've worked on that, and now I give it a good old grind. It's really powdery in there now. But yeah, Leon Dore, everybody, go and buy your coffee from them. They're fucking awesome.
Shall we, while we enjoy this lovely brew, shall we
Yes.
put some music on and forget about it?
Aren't we gonna Let's Be Honest?
Oh, yeah. Let's be honest. I forgot about that.
Let's be
Let's be honest.
Let's be honest, motherfucker.
What have you got? What have you got for me?
What can I be honest about this week?
You're finally strengthening again.
Finally strengthening again, which is unusual for me. I was supposed to do one on Tuesday. Why did I phone in my Tuesday one? I think the day just kind of got away. Oh yes, because we had a hike and a chat with Lindsay, and I was going to do it in the evening after work, but then we remembered we had this hike and a chat, and I was like, fuck it, that means no strength. Oh no, I'm so gutted. So I didn't do strength on Tuesday, but I did do it on Thursday, and I did the full thing. I did the full whack: arms, upper body, and lower body.
Well done.
Yeah,
well done. Good work.
Mental. But what have I got to be honest about this week? Let me have a think. I wasn't very happy with my low energy on Sunday. I was getting a little bit frustrated with myself when I was out running, so that was a little bit annoying. But it's like, I think I'm just trying to get used to the change in season. And also I think I was getting really frustrated because it's been so fucking delugey rain around here that I haven't been able to go on the trails. So I've been doing most of my runs and even my long runs on the roads, just through the villages and stuff. It's not like main roads or anything, but I don't like it. I don't like road running so much. Do you know what I mean? I need to be on the trails and in the trees.
Yeah.
And today was the first time. I mean, it was the forest is fucked right now. So many trees have fallen down because of like landslidey, avalanche type things, that quite a lot of the trails are blocked and you have to kind of climb over or climb under. This morning when I climbed under this thing to try and get back onto the trail, it hooked my fucking thingies out of my hair and they were stuck in the tree. I had to go back and look for them. Fucking hell. So it was quite slip slidey and a little bit treacherous, but it was good to be back on the trails today. I did miss that. So yeah, lack of energy has been a bit of a bastard. But yeah, all in all, can't complain. Anything else I needed to be honest about? No, I think that was it. What about you? You be honest now.
Well, like I said at the start, I've been beating myself up a lot the last couple of weeks. So I haven't really been running Monday to Friday because I've had a huge amount of work on. I've been on this new project and it's taking up a huge amount of time with a bit of travel. I've been in Bristol, leaving early, getting back late. It's dark, it's raining. I've had more work to do in the evenings than the daytime. So I've been really beating myself up because I've been missing sessions. And then last weekend I did a run on the Saturday and a run on the Sunday. But this week I freed myself up from those shackles a little bit and said to myself, right, for this little block, I'm not going to run for these 2 weeks. I'm not going to run Monday to Friday. I'm just going to do these 2 runs at the weekend. And I'm going to do my weights in the week. I'm going to get outside when I can. As long as I'm being really healthy, eating a really solid, well thought out diet, lifting my weights, two good, decent runs at the weekend, then I can justify the lack of training, because sometimes life does just step in and get in the way a little bit.
I think at this time of year, I get a little bit frustrated when I'm doom scrolling through Insta and I'm seeing all of those motivational posts about like who wants it, who wants to really get it, who wants to really keep going, all of that nonsense stuff. And it's like, it's fucking cold and dark, mate. Fuck off. I get really frustrated. And like all of those annoying ones about, real runners run in the rain or I don't know, fucking nonsense stuff like that really, 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 really gets on my tits. Because I do think
there is a little bit of that, and I'm not very good with the change of seasons. This change of seasons is in particular, the darkness gets to me, and it's been very difficult to motivate myself. But I can feel coming out of that at the moment. I'm getting a balance with this new project and the work. I'm starting to understand the new demands on me of this enterprise, and so once I've done that, I'm hoping to get some runs in the morning, maybe even find some time over lunchtime to get some runs in. I've also taken delivery of some vitamin D today, so that I can, pump myself with a little bit of that, because as you can see, I'm looking a bit pasty.
Well, I think everybody just needs to chill the fuck out a little bit at this changing season, at this particular point when we go from summer to autumn and everything's getting darker and colder and slipperier and more treacherous. Like, just chill out. It's fine if you don't do all of the runs. And it's fine if you don't go out at 6 o'clock in the morning. Stay in bed a bit longer.
The good news is
right.
I have got a little team of blue tits that sit on my windowsill and tap on the glass during the day, and they're keeping me entertained.
That's quite cute.
Yeah, very lovely. I went and got because they were sitting there. There's this one blue tit's been coming back every day and tapping on the glass. So today I put out a little tray of bird food for them, and like loads of them descended. So then I've now gone and got a bird feeder house that I can stick on the window that's see through, so that I can feed them, and I can monitor my little buddies as they eat all the munch I'm going to put out for them.
Oh, that's really cool. Can they go inside the clear house and you'll see? Oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I do like the little birds.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
So, shall we go and put some music on now and forget about it?
Now let's put some music on and forget about it. Yes. Turn it up.
That'll probably do, won't it? Have you got a song lined up?
Of course. I'm super organized. I'm not sitting here trying to quickly go through all of my albums and find something whilst talking and pretending that everything is okay.
Shall I give them mine whilst you have a little scroll?
Yeah, you go first.
Well, I went and did an 18-kilometer run last Sunday, which was lovely. It was bright. It was sunny. I was out for a good hour and 50 odd minutes, just cruising around Devon. And for the entirety of that time, I was listening to the Lord of the Rings soundtrack.
Ooh.
And it was cool. It's good music to run to. And so I've decided to put on a track from that called The Uruk-hai by Howard Shore, from the 2002 Lord of the Rings and the Two Towers original motion picture soundtrack.
Well, that is a fucking epic choice.
It really is. It's very stirring. It feels like you're charging into battle to go hunt some orc.
Awesome. Although, isn't it the theme of the Uruk-hai? So it would be going into battle to hunt some elf?
Yeah, maybe. But
yeah.
Me and Aragorn are very similar in our ways of being.
Yes, James, of course. And here's my fully pre-prepared music choice. I've also gone for instrumental. And it is, I don't know if you've ever heard of these two dudes. They're called the Two Cellos. And it's two dudes, somewhere in Europe, I can't remember where. But they play the cello and they're mental good. They are mental good. And they do all sorts of random things. They've done covers of Prodigy and all sorts of stuff. It's amazing. Some stuff from Lord of the Rings. Absolutely amazing. And I've gone for their Game of Thrones medley.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's really cool. From their 2017 Score album, where they've covered a lot of film and TV scores, and it's just those two on their own doing their jam. But on this album, they've got a full orchestra behind them.
Amazing.
Good.
Well,
Yeah,
that sounds
really,
cool.
really good. Yeah.
I will add both of those songs to our playlist.
Very nice.
That's
I
about
think
it
that's
from
it
us,
for this week.
isn't it? Yeah, we've done all right.
I think we did it. Started off chaotic, continued chaotic, ended chaotic.
Well,
Yeah,
Lindsay
sorry about
brought
that.
a bit of sanity to the middle of the episode, didn't she?
She did. Thank God for Lindsay. Yeah,
Thank
she
God for
saved. She saved the app.
You did indeed. So if you want to find out more, head to www.getoutonit.events. There's loads of info on there, and you can sign up for the newsletter, download the personal development friend, and book a free consultation with us to discuss your health and fitness, where you want to be, and we can design a roadmap to get you there. If you like the podcast, give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a comment, give us a review, do whatever you can to help us boost ourselves in that algorithm, get more people listening.
And also, I don't know, send tips on how to speak or elocution lessons or something.
I nailed that.
Something to help James get through one episode without stumbling over his giant tongue and teeth.
I nailed that. Which bit of that didn't I nail?
Oh, so many parts. Yeah.
Okie doke. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure. Catch you a little bit later.
Cheerio.
Bye.
Thanks for hitting the trails with us this week. We'll meet you back here next Monday for more news, more views, more nature.
All the links for our socials are in the show notes. Find and follow us on Facebook, Insta, YouTube and Twitter. You can subscribe to our newsletter from our website for all the latest updates and camp plans. You get a fun free gift when you sign up.
Leave a review on your podcast app. It's really easy and really helps us out.
And if you've got any friends who could do with getting out in it, then bring them along to next week's outdoor adventure. We'd love to have you all with us.
Catch you next week. Cheerio.